Some thoughts on fast food. I think it's hard for people to look from outside who didn't grow up with positive associations around fast food to understand how deeply ingrained it is and how difficult it is to give up. You know, people from other countries, who grew up in different food traditions don't understand how fast food is, how we love it so much in the United States. I remember watching Morgan Spurlock's Supersize Me movie and realizing, I knew fast food was bad. I knew it was. But yet, the American Academy of Family Physicians patient education booklet in the mid 90s was sponsored by Coca-Cola and McDonald's. So they gave you the impression that it was okay to eat these things. And you know what? My childhood, I could eat those things as a child and I didn't feel sick, right? But then as you get older, you can't do that. And then you feel sick and you go, what happened? And the other thing is, we had great associations at these restaurants. I was talking with a patient. He said, in the 80s, we'd go to fast food, we'd go out and play. It was our celebration. We didn't get sick, and it was also like I've got a cookbook now. And I really was taught to devalue cookbooks. I was taught that this knowledge was less important than me being a doctor. I remember my family doctor who, I think has retired, but she gave me, as my graduation from medical school present, a coupon for basically the equivalent of DoorDash in the 90s. It was like a food delivery service, because she said, being a doctor requires a lot of fast food. If you want to have children, it requires a lot of fast food. You don't have time for this. And, I think too, then you burn a dish or you cook something that sucks and the family judges it. And you get on this carousel of despair. You just go, I don't want to even try because I don't know how. And I'm so discouraged. And it'd be just easier to go get McDonald's. It'd be just so much easier to go get a pizza. And it's sad. It's really sad because it is killing us. You can quietly, kill yourself with fast food. Nobody's going to stop you, and Morgan Spurlock, I may he rest in peace. I think he had some really good points in that movie, but why couldn't I stop the fast food? Well, look at my life. I really couldn't. And I also thought, well, if we have it, twice a week or 3 times a week, and then that turned into a lot more. And then, I just didn't have time to even begin to do something like this. And you know what? I had positive associations around fast food. It was a place where our family could relax. Cooking, on the other hand, was a place that was fraught with people yelling at each other, upset, burning things, no time, people complaining the food tasted bad. Well, the food never tasted bad at McDonald's, did it? And we know these things were marketed to, get to the children, right? Get to the children, the children are the future consumers. And, I think about it like my childhood toys, my childhood friends, everything goes back to childhood, right? I was just talking with a good friend about strawberry shortcake, and strawberries are in season here in California. We're saying, that would be really neat to have a real strawberry shortcake. That's embedded in my childhood. If you tell me to have some exotic Italian cannoli or something like that, I do have some cannoli memories, but I don't have them half as much as the strawberry shortcake memories, right? And they even named a doll Strawberry Shortcake, in the 90s. So they know these things are all cross-wired in our brain. So I feel like we've got to reparent ourselves, really re-grandparent ourselves. Because who would have been around supporting a mom to help take care of her family when she was completely overworked? It would have been the grandmother. Where are the grandmothers? My age, people are not around. I mean, people are sick, struggling with joint pain because we can't get this weight off. exhausted, overworked, and we're not around. And I think about my grandmother when she came out when my brother and sister was born, and she helped cook for my mom. You know, yeah, this was something of value to her. You know, my mother was a career woman. She worked like crazy, but again, this was not something I learned, and I hate to say it, and it's no fault to my mother. She did the best she could, but it was really a lot of negative associations with cooking. And this should have been like empowerment, but we've equated women being independent with having no cooking skills, because unfortunately that extra hour to work would have been an extra hour you could have cooked, you could have learned, but I didn't have that time. And I really was robbed in many ways. How many biochemistry classes have I attended? How many diet classes have I attended? I have a master's degree, master's in public health. I have an MD. I have enough degrees. I don't need toilet paper. I've got so many certifications. I've gone through so many things. Well, I don't know. I don't need to learn anything. It wasn't learning something new. It was really learning something old. It was going back to the traditions of my ancestors, to foods that were embedded in my childhood, and liking those foods, learning to like foods that had been demonized. Like, I mean, the tragedy is, when I was a young woman too, it would be like, don't eat any fat, have snack wells, eat six tiny meals a day, never let yourself get too hungry, always snack. And then we were condemned as fat. Of course, the standards were also ridiculous. We had, heroin addicts and people, completely emaciated as our standard of beauty when I was, in the 80s and 90s. And that has changed a lot. Okay. And I mean, a lot of these models literally had to be on heroin to look the way they did. And that is quite sad, really, isn't it? That's something that we idolized as a good thing. But, these are fads. But now in some ways it's even worse, because we've got young women looking at social media, looking at things that are completely fake. They're not even real people. They're all touched up. They're all fake. They're all, this is nobody's body at all, but we can unpack this, and I can't tell you exactly what to eat. And I'm thinking about that. It's not what do I eat? It's how did we eat before things were wrecked, right? If it ain't broken, don't fix it. Our diet was never broken in the 1970s. We didn't need doctors to tell us what to eat. Our great-grandparents, the grocers, could have told us what to eat. My great-grandfather was a grocer for 50 years, and he knew in 1970, grease is goodness. If you eat too much bread and potatoes, you'll get fat and sick. How did he know this? He had lived through the Depression. He, I'm sure, had seen people that lived through the Depression, could not afford dairy and meat in the United States, as that's our culture here, what evolved in the climate of the United States. The Native Americans ate meat. This is a climate where that evolved. And the Europeans that settled here ate meat. The Native Americans ate meat. No offense to vegetarian cultures, and there are real vegetarian cultures, like real Hindu cultures, which is also part of my heritage, but I can't pretend that I know how to do that diet. I didn't grow up in that diet, and I think we almost have it's waves, right? Things go in waves, and that's why, that's why you don't want to be the early adopter of a brand new thing. You want to wait and see how it plays out. So my great-grandfather was not going to change his ancestral recipes from my mother, who was going to college and thought that she knew everything. When I was going to college, I thought I knew everything. When I was 15 years old, I thought I knew everything. When I was a doctor with a white coat and I was told to tell people, just don't eat any fat, I remember a doctor telling me, just cook with water. Don't cook with any fat. Just cook with water. And I'm thinking about that's impossible. I don't think his cooking could have been very good. And you know what? I don't think that doctor ever cooked. I think he had a wife cooking for him. And he was a runner, okay? So some of these doctors are lovely, lovely, caring people. And you don't want me doing surgery on you. I am not a surgeon. I did sew up people. I used to do laceration repair. I can assist in surgery. But you want someone specialized, right? So family doctors used to be really people that knew a family, people that knew the psychosocial dynamics in a family. They knew how to call in the specialist, but they knew the family. And a big part of the family was food. And we kind of pretend that food is just a thing, it's just a commodity. It could be a powder, it could be something that never goes stale, it's just calories in, calories out. But it's so much more than that. And we know it because why can't we stop eating at McDonald's? Why can't we? And I mean, this was a real struggle for me. And I still love these foods. I can now stop there and have a coffee or have a black coffee, and I'm gracious and grateful for the convenience that provides. But I no longer can be a person that eats there. And when I go to, say, In-N-Out Burger, I just get the beef and I put it on the lettuce. If I start going down the rabbit hole of the bun and all the condiments and all the stuff that, it's for me, it's dangerous. There are people with brains who are wired differently. I have never had half a donut. I know there are people that exist that can have half a donut. I am not one of those people. I will never be one of those people. But guess what? I'm also not ashamed of being this person because I'm a cactus living in a rainforest. That person that can eat half a donut is a palm tree. Okay, there's a palm tree behind me. They can live, right? They can live here fine. If this were a rainforest, right? But if I'm a cactus and there's food and food and food and there's sugar and carbs every minute, I can't handle it. A palm tree can, okay? I have to protect myself. I can build a globe around the cactus. I wouldn't blame a cactus and say, you defective, dumb plant. No, I would have survived 100 years ago. You would have been the super survivor. We would have remembered where the berries were. When the army came over the hill invading, we would have grabbed the honey, grabbed the berries. We would have survived. The people that can eat half a donut, they wouldn't have made it. So I am making peace with my neurochemistry, and I'm a 6-year-old child when it comes to food in my head. I still don't have the cortical control. There are people that do. There are people that have other things that they love more. And that's, I think, the other thing. What do I love more? I love McDonald's, but I love myself more. I love strawberry shortcake, but I love myself more. And I can soothe myself with different things. Who cares if you have a stuffed animal with you when you're on your work, if you don't have it right and you can hide it, right? Who cares if you have a seltzer water on the side? You know you're going to have that to reach for it when you need to. Nobody cares. And it's perfectly socially acceptable to eat Triscuit crackers all day at a nurse's station and hurt yourself because whole wheat, it's perfectly acceptable. Just chug granola bars all day, chug Diet Coke all day, do this, eat M&Ms all day. No one's going to condemn you. You're a giving person. But the only problem is we're going to pay a price on the back end, and the price is our health. And was just one day, I had gone so far down the rabbit hole of the carousel of despair. I've been listening to Wu Wei teachings. It's such a great YouTube channel. The carousel of despair. Oh, I've always been fat. Oh, I've tried all these things. I'm going to just be fat and fat and fat. And nothing works. Nothing works. And I've been in that carousel of despair. So I'm not selling you that there's something new. I'm selling you something old. I'm selling you go back to your heritage and see how these people actually ate. Did they have vegetable oil in these recipes? No. They had butter in these recipes. They hadn't invented vegetable oils in the 1800s. That is a gaslight. They didn't have high fructose corn syrup back in the 1800s. They didn't have Crisco back in the 1800s. That was not invented. That was not popularized until the early 1900s. So let's go back to how our ancestors lived without all the negative stuff. Let's keep our conveniences. Let's keep our beautiful. We can have connection like this, but let's really look at what's real, and let's go back to the real food. I deserve real stuff now. I don't want the fake thing now. I'm too old. I don't have the buffer of time to eat a bunch of crap. It's not the 80s. I can't just eat fast food and run it off, So I hope this has been helpful for you. I hope you'll consider subscribing to my channel. I know this has been a kind of a long one. Thank you for hanging in there with me, and I hope to see you in the next video. Talk soon. Bye-bye.